I think you're going to love this video because nobody's talking about this out there. And this is based on Edgar Cayce's philosophy, warnings, and teachings. Well, teachings through his readings. So if you've been scrolling through YouTube lately, you've seen them, the maps, the forbidden maps, the future Earth projections. They show California sliding in the ocean, the Mississippi River splitting the United States in half, and massive red zones of destruction. Okay, it's terrifying. And let's be honest, it sells. Fear is a currency right now, and you probably have looked at some of these videos, but here's what those videos aren't telling you. Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, I love his readings along with Dolores Cannon, the man who predicted the stock market crash of 1929, the shifting of the poles that started in 1998, and the rise of Atlantis. Yes, he gave us geography. Of course, that hasn't happened yet, but he also gave us a warning about the geography. I'm going to share with you one sentence that could completely shift your thinking about this, and you're going to stop watching those videos because of one thing. Well, actually, you might watch them because you might end up doing the reverse of what other people are doing. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. So today we're going to look at the actual safe zones Cayce predicted for the changes coming in 2026 and beyond. But more importantly, I'm going to show you why your GPS coordinates matter less than your spiritual coordinates. Welcome back, my friends. Let's break through the fear. Welcome to Landria, Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through those fears. Why? It's an illusion. It's a story. You can change the story. You can be in the most incredibly challenging situation and see it completely different. You're here on my channel because you're tired of the gloom and doom. And I'm telling you, we have full control over everything. And the gloom and doom is the warning of what we've been on, the trajectory we've been on, and that we can change it. We're going into the era where we're learning that we actually are creating it and we can change it. Of course, we're creating it. Who else is doing it? Who else is polluting the planet? All this other crazy stuff that's going on. Why is the Earth transitioning? Well, we are connected to her. We're going to talk about that today. I hope you will subscribe. You guys can click here below. Go explore what's in my description because I'm going to take you on a ride 2026 so that we can understand this and we're going to start working on how to shift absolutely every situation that has not been working for us. Your abundance, where you live, what you do for a living, detoxing your body. All of these things count because we're going into the new world. You cannot go up to the penthouse with all this garbage with you. So I have free inspiration. It says landriaonka.com, free inspiration. Click on that because I'm launching the Conscious Creators Vault. We'll talk about that later on in this video. I want to get started right away on this because it's one of the most important messages ever. And I'm going to share with you something that could be mind-blowing. So to understand 2026, we have to look at what Cayce said about the changing Earth. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He saw massive shifts, but we need to look at when he saw them and where. So I'm going to give you, I know you guys, you want the readings, okay? I use convergence, but today we're going to go to actual readings, and I'm going to tell you what he actually said and what it means. In reading 3976-15, Cayce gave one of his most famous and stark predictions. He said, "The earth will be broken up in the western portion of America. The greater portion of Japan must go into the sea. The upper portion of Europe will be changed as in the twinkling of an eye. Land will appear off the east coast of America." He also spoke specifically about safety in the United States in reading 1152-11. He was asked about safe areas during these upheavals, and he pointed to Virginia Beach. He actually moved his family and his institute there because he viewed it as a safety zone. Guess what? Nothing has happened there. The inland areas, he mentioned parts of Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois as being stable. Nothing has happened there. The Shield Lands, he referenced the southern portions of Carolina and Georgia as being safer than the northern eastern seaboard, like New York and Connecticut, which he saw experiencing disturbances. We're not seeing these things, okay? Well, I'm going to get to this because I know what you're thinking. Well, it's coming. Well, that was in the 1930s, okay? And it's still not here yet, but I am going to share with you. It doesn't mean some of these things won't happen, but this is such an important message. Now, when people read these readings, they panic, right? And this is going to be one of my videos. This is going to shock you when you realize everything that you read and listen to, it affects the story. The story creates the reality. They pack their bags, they sell their homes, they think, if I just get to Ohio, I'll be safe from the apocalypse. I'm sorry, I'm in Florida. You couldn't pay me to go to Ohio. But look at the dates. Cayce originally predicted major earth changes between 1958 and 1998. Hello. That's a long time ago. He said in reading 3976-15 that the period of the transition is from 58 to 98. So does that mean this is not going to happen? Or does it mean it's just a delay? Well, we talked about this in the February miracles. Well, I look at convergence. I look at all the other things that are happening that he talked about. They're actually happening now, not back when he said. Now, he said the pole shifts would happen in 1998. It didn't happen, but it started in 1998. So in effect, there was some truth to that. But then look at how far along we are, and we are not being affected by it yet. What does this mean? We cannot tell time. Time is an illusion, and it only rests on what we choose at the current moment. I'm creating my future right now. Every decision you make is your future. So, my friends, 1998 is come and gone, and California is still there. New York's still standing. Japan hasn't sunk. Why? This is the most important part of the video. Did Cayce get it wrong, or did humanity change the timeline? My whole channel's about this because I want to help you change the timeline if you don't like what you're seeing. And if you don't like what you're seeing, what are you seeing? What are you focused on? What are you entangled with? You have to be entangled with something in order to feel bad. So you're exposing yourself to the gloom and doom. All right. Some of you have even left Florida saying, oh, I have to get out of here. Hey, listen, you got to pick your poison. I'm going to share something with you that Cayce said that proves to you that his predictions don't have to ever come true. The pivot is the mind is the builder. Okay? Cayce had a core teaching that overrides every single map he ever described. It's the phrase, mind is the builder. I'm going to give you a sentence here in a minute. Prophecy is not a fixed movie script. Prophecy is a reading of the current energy. If the energy stays the same, the prediction happens. If the energy changes, the future changes. Believing the predictions makes the prediction happen. If the energy changes and we decide it's not going to happen, then you'll see what's happening right now. We're not underwater here. You know, we have hurricanes. Of course, we had a really tough year a year ago. Nothing happened this year. Does that mean it's not going to? Florida has hurricanes. Hello, it's not anything new. Every region in the world has its thing that it goes through, right? So here's that key sentence that I'm going to share with you that I absolutely love. He taught that if you run to a safe zone, carrying the vibration of fear, you bring the disaster with you. Does this make sense? I want to tell you, I love living in Florida. You think I'm going to leave here? If I see a hurricane coming, of course, I'll get in my car and skedaddle. But what happens to people who believe that Florida is going to go underwater? They don't live here. I don't have fear-based people living here. The people that think that's going to happen, they're going other places and taking that fear with them. Hallelujah! Our frequency just raised here in Florida. Doesn't guarantee that cataclysmic events won't happen because the earth goes through her own transition, but we contribute greatly to that. Does this make sense? So that map that you see with the red zones are the fear zones. It's the opposite of everything you're thinking, like, oh, they're going to go down. Yep. So the map that you're seeing of the red zones are actually the places where there is no fear zones. The opposite, those are actually gold zones. The fear zones are the places he listed where people think they're not going to go underwater. Isn't that insane? I love it. So if people are running from Florida out of fear, of this thing that's going to go on, they take those beliefs and that energy and they take it to the place where they live. I want you to understand this is how everything works. If you run to a safe zone carrying the vibration of fear, you bring the disaster with you. So something else might change than his predictions, which many have not come true. Why? Because we're in control. The mind is the builder. He said that. He said you're creating it. So in other words, we can actually shift disasters someplace else. Cayce was totally wrong. No, because of those predictions that people believed, they shifted the fear to other places, and I am now living in the gold zone. Now, don't be coming running down here with your fear. And if, like I said, wherever you live, there's going to be hurricanes and fires and volcanoes. That's never going to end. Are you going to live your life running from that? I'm not. Okay? Because guess what? You're going to go sometime off of this planet. You can't avoid it. What are you going to do? Keep running from it? You cannot outrun death. Why not live in a place you absolutely love? And so where do we have to go? Here. So we avoided the 1998 destruction because consciousness raised just enough to stabilize the grid. Now we're looking at 2026 because there's a lot happening here. Okay, we've got some major events. Now we're going to talk about convergence. The astrologers, the prophets, and the data are all pointing to a massive shift again. And the fear merchants are dusting off those old 1930s maps and telling you to run. Why? It gets views. You guys are watching that stuff. I'm looking at the millions of views and thinking, oh gosh, maybe at some point they'll get tired of feeling bad. Come visit me, and I'm going to tell you can change anything. And by being here alone, this is part of my agenda. The more I tell you you can change things and that we can all go into a positive state of being, the more I affect the world in a positive way. I'm shining my light. And if you believe it, it's still your choice. If you believe it, then I did my job. But here's the spiritual physics of safety. Vibrational geography. If you move to a safe zone, let's say you move to the mountains of Arkansas or the plains of Wyoming, you do it out of terror. If you're checking the news every day, waiting for the sky to fall, you're acting as a beacon for chaos. Is that cool? Does this make sense? You're bringing a disaster frequency into a safe zone. So this is the era of empowerment versus we're just little 3D things and things just happen to us. We're now going into the era of consciousness, and we now know, wait a minute, I'm a co-creator. I'm doing this. Cayce warned us in reading 906-3, what you dwell upon you become. Now, I said a few times, I love this one. You must live the prayer, right? You have to live the prayer. You can't just pray. You have to live the prayer. I pray for peace, and then you're off in terror and whatever else, watching negative news. If you dwell on the apocalypse, you can create an apocalypse in the safest place on earth. And you can manifest personal destruction, financial collapse, health crisis, family turmoil, even if the ground beneath your feet never shakes. We've talked about this. Mind is the builder. So if you're worried about finances, you continue to create problems with your finances. I'm going to lose this. Have you ever dated somebody and they're like petrified of losing you? Guess what? It's horrible to be around that. So yeah, they eventually lose you because you don't want to be around somebody who's insecure. That's how it works. That energy creates the situation. So let's talk about the 2026 miracle timeline. So what about 2026? I know you guys are like, there's no date. There can never be dates. There can't. And even if Edgar Cayce gave them, we can't blame him because he's only seeing things according to his vision at the moment and the frequency of the moment. Okay. So timelines, let's throw them out the window. We're going to go by what's actually happening. We do have a solar maximum going on right now. We do have cycles that have ended and are starting again this year. We have the fire horse just started this year. A lot of things converging that are setting us up for great change. Still a choice. And the shift means I can go into that higher frequency and use these energy fields and opportunities, including what Edgar Cayce told us. I can create a miracle. This February, let's create miracles because portals have opened up and some of these will never happen again, but it's never ending. You never get left behind. You're eternal. It's going to keep going and going. There's more opportunities and more challenges and more things because it's a learning planet. Get used to that. But your story will tell you if it's a negative thing because we're always trying to make things perfect. You are coming from perfection. You'll go back to that. Embrace the challenges. It's your reaction in them that's going to determine everything in your life. So we know the energy is ramping up. We know that the institutions are crumbling. This is the death of the old that precedes the birth of the new. Things are being revealed, and more is going to come to the surface, including the secrets of empowerment about what we really are. That's all going to come to the head because I told you there's light workers. If you guys have been watching me a while, there's light workers in institutions, governments, corporations that have been silent. Now we're ready, and they're stepping forward and saying, this is what I believe. And I'm going to put myself out there and say, yes, I believe in other life forms. I believe in interdimensional beings. I believe in all these things, even if they don't have proof, whatever the heck that means. Who cares? We don't need proof. We don't need disclosure. From who? We need a government to tell us stuff that's been lying this whole time? No, disclosure. If you know it, that's all you need. So instead of looking for a place to hide, I want you to look for a place to shine because this is your time. And February is kicking off some miracles. Edgar Cayce has told some amazing things that tell us that we're going through a spiritual transition, and you know it's happening now. So the real safe zones for 2026, kicking it off, aren't just geologically stable rock. They're communities of high vibration. They're places where people are gathering not to survive, but to thrive. So I remember moving down to Florida and thinking it's the last place on the planet I would ever move. It never occurred to me that we have hurricanes down here because wherever I go, I have to go lead with my heart. And when I came down here to help a friend find a place, and she says, you should move down here. And I said, you got to be kidding. I thought, well, okay. I packed up everything, put it in storage, and I picked a place off the internet and moved down here. Why? It felt right. And when I got in that place, it felt right. And it felt right to stay here. And then I got a more permanent place, and that felt right. And then I downsized again because I really liked the energy of this place, and that felt right. It was never about the stuff or achieving certain things. It was about how am I feeling about this? You will still have challenges, but the world is no longer going to dictate how you live. I hope you go into my free inspiration because you are probably a person that doesn't fit into that world out there. You don't feel like you fit in. You've never fit in. You've struggled with it. Why? Because it confines us. And you don't think that way. And so now we're going to start living that beautiful creative life. So I created the Conscious Creator Vault. Go check it out. I want you to pause and ask yourself right now, are you feeling a push or a pull? A push feels like panic. It feels like I have to get out or I will die. That's fear talking. Do not make major life decisions from that energy. And most people do. A pull feels like expansion. It feels like, I don't know why, but I feel drawn to the mountains of Tennessee. I feel drawn to the coast of Portugal. I feel drawn to be closer to my grandchildren. That is your higher self navigating you to your personal safe zone. And Cayce taught that we're co-creators. You're not a victim of tectonic plates. You're a consciousness that interacts with the earth. I want to tell you this. If you live your life in a high frequency doing what you really want, wouldn't you rather go out that way? Or do you want to go out in fear? And I want to just remind you of hoarding and getting stuff and weapons and protecting yourself. Guess what happens? You actually attract the same thing. So if everything goes to hell in a handbasket and people are panicking and they're running out of food and stuff, who are they going to visit? Not me. They're going to visit the hoarder. They're going to break open the gates and take everything. That's how it works. People go to the people that are trying to keep things to themselves because that's where the goods are, and they're coming from fear. And then there'll be communities. By the way, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm saying if that were the worst case scenario, communities coming together and say, this is our opportunity to truly be a community. What are all your skills? Let's come together. And this is why diversity is so important. There's a theory, and this is Dolores Cannon, that the new Earth isn't a separate planet. Of course it can't. The Earth is the Earth. It just has multiple existences and dimensions and realities all at once. It's a separate timeline. It's not a separate planet. It's a separate timeline. Even though I say there's no timelines, I should say it's a separate reality. In 2026, we are seeing a bifurcation, a splitting of the worlds. One world is glued to the news, watching the wars, watching the weather, living in the red zones of their mind. And the other world, the miracle timeline, is building new communities. I know you guys are ready for it. You got to reach out. I'm going to help you do that. Reach out. We're going to create communities. Become a member on my channel here because I talk a lot about that in our members section. Your job in 2026, it's not to find a bunker. It's to become a lighthouse. If you stay in a city that's considered unsafe by the maps, but you hold a frequency of love, compassion, and peace, you might be the very reason that city stays safe. You're the acupuncture needle for the earth. And you're staying there because you really want to be there, right? Be the stabilizer. So look at the maps. Be wise. Be prepared. There's nothing wrong with having food, water, and a plan. Casey was practical, and we should be too. I'll give you an example. My ex-husband, he was, you know, saving up for the apocalypse. Guess what? When we got divorced and moved out, there was a huge basement area of goods that all went bad, including water and plastic. You know how I feel about that. The plastic dissolved, water was everywhere, rice was bad. I thought, great, you just actually did the opposite. You wasted abundance. Don't go there. And again, I'm not telling you not to prepare. Have some things ready for any cataclysm. You know what? I didn't get rid of my sweaters when I came down here and temperatures dropped. You got to be prepared for these things. You know, what happens if we do have a hurricane? Let's prepare so that we can get out to a safer place. We have to work with these challenges. It's part of what pulls us together and allows us to experience things that are different, contrast. You can't know it. Well, you want to sit in your house and just buy stuff and work? Is that what you want to do? It's time to create. I know you're ready for this. Don't let a map dictate your peace of mind. Your safety is found on your connection to source. The safest place on earth in 2026 and ongoing is right here, is right here. And you're going to feel it. And the more you go in here, the more you're going to realize none of this matters. It doesn't matter. My reaction and my contribution is all that counts. The rest of the world and the events and all the craziness goes on. It doesn't matter. These are other choices that I don't control because we have free will, but I do affect through shining my lights, through being the lighthouse. So I want to hear from you in the comments. Where do you feel called to be doing during these next few years? Are you staying put to anchor the light? Are you moving to a new adventure? Let me know. So if you want to understand more about the specific 2026 timeline and the miracle shift we're moving into, I suggest you subscribe and make sure you say that you want to be notified because I'm going to talk more about this. I've got some really cool stuff coming up because we are now seeing the true meaning of these prophecies, and it is the warning sign of what we were and showing us what we can be. And some will not choose it, my friend. Let it go. They're eternal, just as you are. There are no endings, just choices. And when we go to the other side, we go, wow, I could have done better. And then, of course, you get a chance to do better. But let's do it this time. So thank you for watching this video. I hope that you'll start to shine your light and let's create the gold zones. Now let's talk about going down in my description because I am creating several areas of your life. I've taught chic sustainability, cool stuff that we're doing with products that are clean your environment, how to clean out your closet, cooking, all kinds of stuff. That's actually a channel of mine. I've taught digital explorers to create planet conscious businesses. We're creating, going in a passion. It's really cool. That's down there. And I have Breakthrough Fear, helping you to move past the illusions. And I thought, what if I created the Conscious Creator Vault, where all of them come in there? And you only have one subscription, and every 30 days you get teachings in all of these areas. And we meet once a month live. And that creates that community. I thought, we have all these areas of our lives, and you can study this and study this. Why don't we pull them together and create the Conscious Creators Vault? And every 30 days, the vault opens, and you get these new teachings. We start with, who are you and what are you? I help you to understand your power and not get fixated on being the person. And the more you go into this inner peace, this inner power, the more you expand into it, and you're going to see the results of that. So all these stories you tell yourself or anything you've struggled with, that's going to dissolve. Everything that you don't desire can dissolve now. Take some work. So again, subscribe, share my videos, and let people know. It's really this simple. You're doing it. I'm doing it. Fear creates it. Watching things that are fearful, believing it, getting upset. When you watch a horoscope, if somebody tells you you're going to have a great month, you get all excited. You watch one that says it's going to be horrible, you get depressed. You're thinking about it. Oh, I don't believe it. Yeah, but you're walking around with, that's how it works. Don't expose yourself to the stuff that you don't want to create. I can't tell you what to do. If you're addicted to that, fine. Come back and see me and we'll clear it all up. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. I didn't have a hat today because my hair's drying. I'll see you guys in the next video. Namaste.